The giant bride trembled as she stood in the dim light of the barn, tears streaming down her enormous cheeks. "My father. He sneaks in every night," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the creaking wind. The cowboy's jaw dropped, his mind racing to understand what she meant. He had always thought the old man was gone for good, that the ranch's secrets were buried along with him. He stepped closer, trying to calm her, but her sobs only grew louder. Shadows danced across the wooden beams as the truth began to emerge. It wasn't what he expected. Her father wasn't harming her, but he was hiding something far more perplexing. Strange footprints, missing supplies, and cryptic notes hinted at a plan that no one had anticipated. The cowboy's shock turned into determination. He realized he had to uncover the secret before it spiraled out of control. Gently, he took her hand, promising to protect her and the ranch. The giant bride nodded, a flicker of hope in her tear-filled eyes. That night, beneath the wide starry sky, the cowboy prepared to face the mystery that had haunted her, and perhaps the entire ranch, for far too long. The next evening, the cowboy stayed vigilant, patrolling the perimeter of the barn under the pale moonlight. Every shadow seemed to stretch and twist, playing tricks on his eyes. The giant bride watched from the doorway, her massive frame tense with worry. "Do you think he'll come again tonight?" she asked, her voice trembling. The cowboy shook his head, though he wasn't entirely sure himself. As the hours crept by, a faint sound reached their ears, a soft rustling near the old tool shed. The cowboy motioned for her to stay back and approached cautiously. He could see footprints in the mud, oddly large but strangely inconsistent, almost as if someone didn't want to be noticed. Following them led him deeper into the property, toward the edge of the forest where the darkness was thick and unwelcoming. Suddenly, he stumbled upon a small, hidden cache of letters and drawings. They were from her father, filled with confessions of regret, long-forgotten plans, and cryptic warnings. It became clear he hadn't been sneaking in to cause harm. He had been trying to hide something important, something the cowboy now needed to decipher before it was too late. The giant bride joined him, peering over his shoulder, her tears mixing with curiosity and fear. Together, they faced the puzzle her father had left behind. The following night, the cowboy and the giant bride worked together to uncover the full truth behind her father's secret visits. The letters they found hinted at a hidden compartment somewhere on the ranch, but none explained exactly where. They searched the barn, the loft, and even the old storage sheds, but everything seemed ordinary, until the bride noticed a slight draft near the base of the old stone wall. With her immense strength, she pried open a loose panel, revealing a narrow tunnel carved into the earth. The cowboy's eyes widened in shock. The tunnel was old, dusty, and winding, but it carried an unmistakable sense of urgency. Carefully, they entered, their lantern casting flickering light along the rough walls. Inside, they discovered old crates filled with maps, journals, and objects that hinted at a life her father had lived in secrecy, one far more complicated than either of them could have imagined. One journal contained a note addressed to her, warning her to trust no one but the cowboy and urging her to be brave. As she read aloud, tears streamed down her face, not from fear this time, but from a mixture of sorrow and relief. The cowboy placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. Together, they realized that her father's nightly visits weren't sinister, they were part of a plan to protect her and the ranch from an unseen threat. That night, the cowboy and the giant bride prepared for whatever might come. The tunnel had revealed her father's hidden past, but it also suggested that someone, or something, was still watching the ranch. As the moon rose high, they heard faint footsteps approaching the barn. The cowboy motioned for her to stay close, every muscle tense, his eyes scanning the darkness. Suddenly, a shadow darted across the yard. The bride's heart raced, but the cowboy stayed calm, signaling her to follow him quietly. They moved to intercept, discovering a stranger rifling through one of the sheds. The figure froze when they were seen, revealing a familiar face, an old rival of her father who had been searching for the hidden cache for years. The cowboy stepped forward, his voice firm but measured, demanding answers. The rival hesitated, then reluctantly explained that he had only come to retrieve documents that could ruin the family if they fell into the wrong hands. The giant bride's fear shifted to determination. She realized that the threat wasn't personal, it was about protecting the legacy her father had worked so hard to safeguard. By the end of the night, they managed to secure the shed and trap the intruder until the authorities could arrive. For the first time in weeks, the giant bride felt a sense of relief. The cowboy, standing beside her, knew the worst was not over, but they were finally ready to face it together. The following evening, the cowboy and the giant bride took extra precautions. The tunnel, the hidden cache, and the rival's intrusion had left them both on edge. Yet, they knew the final piece of the mystery still awaited them, the true purpose behind her father's secret visits. Together, they returned to the tunnel, determined to uncover everything before anyone else could interfere. Deeper inside, they discovered a hidden chamber filled with letters, blueprints, and a journal meticulously detailing a plan to protect the ranch from long-forgotten debts and threats. Her father had been sneaking in nightly not out of malice, but to monitor the property, ensure its safety, and leave instructions for her future. The giant bride's tears flowed freely, this time from gratitude and understanding rather than fear. The cowboy helped her organize the documents, carefully piecing together the final instructions. As dawn broke over the ranch, they emerged from the tunnel stronger, wiser, and united by the shared experience. The intruder had been apprehended, the secret legacy preserved, and the giant bride finally felt a sense of security she hadn't known in years. Standing together on the hill overlooking the ranch, the cowboy smiled and said, "We'll face whatever comes next, together." For the first time in a long while, the giant bride believed him. The nightly fears were over, and a new chapter of hope and trust had begun.